Good day, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in this 8th anniversary show of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, I feel like I can't even say as always anymore, but
as 90% of the time.
As 90% of the time, my
He's
wonderful
here.
co-host for the last 8 years is Mr. David Sawyering. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everyone. I think that most of the time I bring enough energy that even though I'm only here like 85 to 90%, it feels like 100%. So I think it's okay for you to just continue to say with me as always. I think that that's okay.
I see. So you're throwing out your 100% again.
99%. No, not 100. No.
Okay.
I've used up my hundreds for the year. I think last week with Kathy was probably the last one for about 6 months, 3 months at least.
You know what I realized while setting up the show?
What?
We are exactly halfway to episode 666.
Nice. I'll be absent on that one.
We're 300. We're 333. In another 8 years, we will be we will be at episode 666.
I'm taking the day off if I'm still on the planet. 8 years is a long time from now.
I'm going to see if we can get Lucifer on for that show.
Oh, you do that, and I certainly will be taking the week off.
I don't know. I think it'd be a good interview.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of good interviews, though, we have. Well, no, not of Lucifer. What the hell?
Well, you brought it up.
I did, but now I'm moving on, Dave.
I have a perfect segue.
Okay.
Everything's going great except for this stupid cavity that I have, and I keep dragging my feet to get into the dentist to get it taken care of. And I don't know why my spirit guides aren't helping me move forward with getting to get this cavity fixed. And I've asked them repeatedly for some help, kind of pushing me over the edge for what's causing me to delay it. And they haven't responded. So,
okay. 2 things really quick.
Yeah.
Before we bring on our guest today. That was a really long way and a horrible segue.
It was a perfect segue.
And 2, I really don't think that it's the spirit guides' mission to point you towards the dentist.
Well, you never know that.
Well,
they're supposed to help you. They're supposed to help you when you need help.
Do you need help?
Well, obviously I do, because I should have got this taken care of months ago, because now it's really bugging me.
I see. Well, we're going to find that out.
We'll find that out today.
But first, so we're bringing back a themed show that we haven't done in quite a while, which is the Roundtable, and we're bringing on 3 amazing psychic mediums to answer our questions about the other side and spiritualism and all this other good stuff. And the purpose of it, and we're hoping that that's what it comes to, is to disprove whether the messages and things that people with their abilities run into on a daily basis all lead towards the same thing, or are they different? And dealing with this. So I do want to bring in our wonderful guest. First, staple of the show. You can't go a month without having her appear. She's on retainer. Miss Sena Dyksman.
Hey, morning.
Good morning.
As he has been on the show before. Amazing interview. Still love it. In fact, I'm going to be bringing up at least one thing that he said last time as part of our first conversation. Mr. Bobby Sullivan.
Hello.
And
morning, Bobby.
Getting up early, live from Arizona, is Miss Bevin Fulton.
Hi, good morning.
How are you guys all doing?
Doing great.
I first just want to say thank you for coming on such short notice. And I hope that this is going to be an extremely informative and just excellent conversation about all these topics that we have. But first, and Bevin, I told you that I wanted to have you do this. Sena and Bobby have been on the show before. You have not. Why don't you just, for like the longtime listeners, why not just kind of give a brief introduction to who you are?
Sure. Hi. My name is Bevin. I've been a longtime friend of Sena. Her and I have definitely been down some spiritual journeys together, done some really amazing things. I've always been intuitive my whole entire childhood, but probably about 20 years ago, I really started diving into to energy medicine. And so I am an energy medicine therapist at a private resort here in Arizona. Castle Hot Springs. It's a pretty amazing place if you've never checked it out. So I really do a lot of work with people in their invisible anatomy, and helping balance out that system, understanding what that means, understanding how that then connects with the other side, as we are talking about. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. By the way, this is episode 333. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
So in the world of angel numbers, that means that your angels are very close to you, offering guidance and answering any questions and listening. So Dave, I think your dentist appointment is going to be coming very soon.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Look at that. We're only 8 minutes into the show and already we're getting readings. I like it.
Good job, Bevin.
Yeah. All right. So the reason why obviously Dave brought up the whole spirit guide thing with the segue was because that's our first topic. I think that spirit guides is something that even if you're not part of the paranormal, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, still have spirit guides. Like, just because whether you know they're there or not, you still have them.
Correct.
And so that's why I think this is a very important topic, because even in the paranormal, like Dave and I still don't know everything about them. Like, if we did, we wouldn't have questions. And we have a lot. So Bobby, I'm actually going to start with you. With the first kind of kicking off the main topic here. In your opinion, like, what are spirit guides? Like, why does every single person like have them, and really, like, what are they here to do?
Okay, well, guides can show up in our lives in a lot of different aspects in different ways, right? So when our souls are created, if you kind of look at the idea of source or the creative force taking a part of itself and saying, go out and understand what it is to be me, go out and understand what it is to be part of this pure love. And at that point, we go through kind of an illusion that we're separate from that oneness. And it's essentially our job to figure out a way to go out and learn what it is to be God, to be source, to be that pure love. And there's a lot of different ways that we can choose as souls to go out and do that. We typically are at that point put into a group of souls that are kind of created with similar type energy at a similar type place, and which is known as our soul group, right? And at that point, we have a guide or number of guides that are sort of assigned to educating and helping our souls learn. And so, in the same way that a kindergartner would start school, our souls say, okay, I'm going to choose a method to learn. And that's why we have Earth School. There's hundreds, probably thousands of other types of schools that we can go through, but we we will look for kind of that guidance to figure out how we start learning, right? And so we incarnate, and most of our lives are kind of we're helped with, they're planned out by our guides. And as we go through lifetimes, and we and really this is just school, we're just coming in to learn, and we go through that process, and we die, and we come back, and we kind of write down what we have experienced, who we've loved, who we've hurt, all the things that we learned and didn't learn, the challenges, and at some point we will work with our soul group and our guides to kind of review the lessons and the things we learned, and then at some point we'll choose to come back and go through another experience. And so we continue to go through this repetition of lifetimes and learning, and we're being guided in those lifetimes. Eventually, in the same way going to school, you get to be a little bit more experienced, and you get to be a little bit smarter, and so you start taking part in planning your own lives and choosing what you're going to do, but you're still guided, right? You're still working with these wise ones on the other side that have already gone through this evolution of learning. And in that process, we may choose different guides to come in and help us with different situations. If you're part of what you're doing as a soul is learning how to be a healer, right? We may have guides that come in that help us with that. If we have that mission to learn how to be a teacher, we may have guides that come in and help us do that. So we do have a guide or a group of guides that stay with our soul group kind of through the whole process, but we will also bring guides in as we need them in different lifetimes. And most of us have more than one guide, and we do have the ability to shift guides in our life. And so people will go through this period where they feel like they've lost something, and that is a feeling of guides kind of coming in and going out. As we sort of graduate into next parts of our soul's evolutions, we may have guides that come in that help us do that. That's kind of the short answer. I could probably talk for 2 hours about this, just on guides.
Fair enough. We might just be talking for at least an hour.
Okay.
Bevin, Sena, do you have anything that you would like to add, or just throw in your own 2 cents?
Go ahead, Bevin.
I think ancestors. I agree with you, Bobby. Our soul group, and to speak on the vibration, right? So every human has a vibrational frequency that they resonate with for this lifetime, based on what he was talking about, the Akashic Record Room, your life path that you're intended in this lifetime. And so that group of guides, yes, stays in. It's a similar frequency, because high and low can't coexist. Ancestors are another group of entities, if you will, people, grandparents, people that have passed over before. I think there's a whole group of them, in addition to spirit guides and soul guides. I like that term.
Sena?
Yes, and so when people always want to know where they come from, when the spirit guides themselves, when we're up at the Akashic Records, our soul at that time is already signing up with that spirit guide. We have one spirit guide throughout life, but then we have others, as Bobby was saying, to help us through the lessons that we sign up for. When we're up at the Akashic Records, we're all one. And then we choose to live out different experiences to learn the lessons. And so we have one that stays with us our entire life. But then, as Bobby says, we have, sometimes we feel a loss, and we can have up to 4. And that can be ancestors. It can be, other spirits or entities from other different dimensions that come in to help us with this, depending on our lessons that we sign up for. And again, whether it is, like Bobby said, it's a healer or to be all round, like, if we're a historian and we're wanting to gather the information, but to help bring everybody on the right path, because it's a lot of the information is misinterpreted or wrong. So we'll come in here to teach, well, collecting all the information. And so the spirit guides will come in and help us along that journey to get what we needed, what we signed up for. And so that's, pretty much we're coming, lessons, and we start all over again. If we choose to come back, it's always our choice to come back. But we're all one. Come in here for lessons, but our spirit guides themselves, we can tap into them anytime. Now, David was mentioning this before. He's like, they don't not always talk to me. No, it's your choice if you allow them to talk to you. If you're in your head too much, you're going to block them out and not hear them. And so this is why you're not getting the information, or your human's in the way. And if you're just all humans, you're all in your head. And it's like, so you're literally not paying attention to your spiritual side, because you're always in your head and always thinking. And so that's where you're not going to be hearing them, because you're like, oh, I've got to do this. Why weren't you telling me? And I've been telling you the whole time, but you're not listening.
I think, Michael, you were kind of right when you're talking to David about his dentist guide. I don't, I get asked in my practice a lot, like, I want to talk to my guides. I can't connect with my guides. I don't want to talk to my guides. And I never say never, but one of the things that is very common is that your guides don't want to be sitting around making decisions for you in your life every day. They are here to lead you down the road to find, to make choices and to learn by those choices. That's how our soul learns, is by choosing. And we have free will, and that is the tool for learning. Our guides will really not take part in that idea of sitting around and answering questions about our life every day, because then we depend on them, and they don't want that to happen. What I've noticed, at least for myself, is that the guides really show up way more often when I'm working with clients or I'm working with other people. That's when they will bring information through, and where they're open to communication. For me, if I'm working on my own stuff, I really have to use intuition, which is different than psychic, connection. Intuition is our connection to source, right? It's a different thing. Intuition is not necessarily our guides. It's our connection to the oneness. And so in order for us to make decisions for ourselves, Spirit, I think, really wants us to access intuition and not go outside of that.
Correct. Yeah, because we're not going to learn otherwise.
Right.
So this is why we sign up for it. We can't always depend on spirit guides. And our teachers, it's just like you're going to school. The teacher's going to give you information, but then you have to go up and actually learn on your own of how to use that. So they're not going to always interfere, because that teacher can't always be there by their side. You wouldn't learn. And that's why I always tell people in sessions as well, it's like you need to remember what your title is and what you come into this lifetime for, because you're not helping other people. If you're choosing to make decisions for them, they're not going to learn.
Dave, I'm stepping back. This is all you, man.
Okay, well, here I do have the two thing was a joke. It was a segue, by the way. But I do have a question though. So with our spirit guides, are they not also there to steer us away from situations that we might not see coming that might be detrimental to our health? Or do they just sit back and watch tragedy? Is it avoidable? Would my spirit guide step in and say, hey, Dave, don't go to work today, because if you go to work today, your life is going to change permanently? Why didn't they step in and say that?
I've seen where both things happen. I've seen where they sit back, and sometimes if we deem sort of a need for a warning, and that warning can come from guides, it can also come from your intuition.
Yeah. Also, if a lot of times life and death, a lot of times what happens is if you go into your life is already planned out, whether you take the hard road, the easy road. but as long as you're learning those lessons. But if you're tilting off way off path, they'll interact to get, and cross your path to get like, okay, wait a minute, you're going on the wrong path. Or if you're in, your human starts to take over, and you're like, okay, wait a minute, they're not even on the right journey right now in order to take them what they signed up for, and they will interact at that time. But otherwise, they want you to learn as much as you can on your decisions and what you choose to for your role, because you need to learn those. And some people, it's a hard lesson, so they can have to go through a horrific time to learn those lessons, because sometimes in their choice of living and their souls that they sign up for their lessons, it's not an easy lesson for them to learn because of how they were raised. And so sometimes it's going to be a harder one, or it's going to be horrific, and they have to go through those situations to learn. So it's not always going to be easy, or you don't always think that your spirit is going to help out. It's like, oh my gosh, this is a terrible situation. They're not always going to step in unless it's your part of that lesson you have to learn, because otherwise you're not going to learn it.
Sena, I like kind of what you said. I use that example a lot, and really guides don't care that much if it's a hard lesson or an easy lesson, right? I kind of use that same example of, like, a lot of times there's a low road, a middle road, and a high road, and they all lead to the same place, right? So I'm thinking about quitting my job, and I get this intuitive nudge to say, you know what, it's time for you to move on and do that. And my logic kicks in and says, yeah, but I have a 401k. So I kind of miss that opportunity to trust my intuition or that nudge, right? And so I missed that high road. And the high road is, had I taken I always think about like the Indiana Jones when in the Temple of Doom, when they step off the invisible cliff, right? It's a step of faith. And the fear might be great at the beginning, but you're having faith in yourself and your intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we miss that, the guides are like, oh, okay. And then we get another nudge, right? And we say, yeah, but I have 4 weeks of vacation. I'm not leaving my job. And they go, okay, so we miss kind of that middle road. And they go, okay, if you don't want to take care of it, we'll take care of the nudge, right? And so, a few more weeks go by, and I mess up with something in my job, and I get fired. In that process, I basically lose my relationship with my employers. I mess up with my clients. I am completely devastated, and it's a much rockier road. All three of those roads led to the same place, but because I didn't follow my intuition or that nudge, the road getting there is a little bit harder. The guides don't care really, because you're still going to learn, and more than not, we're going to get another opportunity to do that again. Like, they will continue to present those opportunities to listen to our intuition or that nudge to learn how to trust it.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Bevin, yeah. Bevin, what's your take?
Just in concurrence. So what I kept hearing is, I mean, human suffering is just that, it's human. So the guides don't care, that they don't see it that way, because if everybody is exactly where they need to be all the time, and that's a universal law, like nothing, you can't mess anything up. You just decide what path you're going down. So starting to have the mentality of, I'm exactly where I need to be all the time, and applying that to life.
Okay, so I get, because I've had lots of readings with a lot of different people. I've even asked this of Sena. And Bobby, you said it as well, that a lot of your clients ask you for messages and whatnot. I've actually asked for not so much even beyond messages, like, who are my guides? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to know who their guides are. And I get the whole lineage thing, like, oh, like one of your guys is your great grandfather. for this reason or whatever. He's here to do this. But every once in a while they'll be like, oh yeah, your spirit guy's name is Frank. Like he's got no tie to me whatsoever. There's no reason like I don't understand how he got to be my guide. So do any of you know or can shed light on like how guides are chosen for specific people? Like how is the guide that is here, with me for life chosen to be that guide?
I would say,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
it's your vibrational frequency. You come down with a number. Like let's say you resonate at a 350. So any spirit guide that would be with you in this lifetime is going to match your frequency. And I don't think it's as specific as there's this person. His name is Frank. That's our human. So our human must identify in a human form in some sort of, our mind needs that. It needs to put it in a physical form in order to wrap our brain around the fact that we even have this guidance system in the first place.
But I do think that, like I was saying, is that there is, so guides on the other side also are at different levels, right? There are very high vibrational ascended masters or angelic guides, and there's souls that are working on learning how to be that type of a guide. So what I've seen is a lot of guides have sort of assistants or other guides that are working with them. And so we, like as we form our soul groups, that guide that's been with you all the time is kind of assigned to that soul group and stays with us throughout our development, right? So it's a co sort of creation agreement with the guide and them taking that role on. We do have soul jobs on the other side.
Correct. Yeah, and you can also reverse, like your soul guide for this lifetime. You're on this soul lesson. Will sign up with you. But you do know them on a spiritual level. You've always known them, and it's an agreement. And then the next lifetime, you can switch where you're going to be their spirit guide, and they're going to be learning their lessons. So you can also swap to help with each other with lessons as well. So they're not the all knowing. We come here for lessons at a human soul level. And so these spirit guides that come in, like you have the one throughout your entire life and the other ones to come in to help, whether they're ancestors, and depending on your lesson. And like Bevin said, your frequency, everything is energy, frequency, vibration. So whatever you come in at to learn and at that vibrational level, these are the ones that are going to help you with that.
All right. So question for you. If I choose to change my vibrational level, will that renew the list of spirit guides that work with me then?
It's evolving. It's how you choose it is every emotion has a different vibration level. So it just depends on where you're at, how much you're learning and evolving, but allowing. So you can be on your spiritual path and be continually evolving. All of a sudden, what we call minions will take you off of your path. And it can be like you get too stuck in your human, and then it pulls you off your path. So your vibration can go up and down. It doesn't stay the same the whole time. It just depends on what you're going through and how you take it, and how it affects you and how you allow it to affect you.
Well, okay, so this goes off preview. So can't we decide to change our vibrational level and not change it? Right?
Yes.
I mean, you can change your vibrational level. I've been told that for the past 50 years that, you can raise your vibrational level and move away from evil or darkness or demons or however you want to label that crap, and then move yourself up to a point where you don't have to deal with that anymore because your vibration level is at a higher level than they can reach.
Yes, I mean that's the point of coming to Earth School is that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're moving from logical beings that consult our spiritual essence to being spiritual beings that consult our logical essence. Like we're moving from this third chakra through the heart into our spiritual selves in human form. Our minds don't know God, but our hearts do. And so we're always like learning and evolving to move into our hearts so that we can ascend into our higher selves. That's the whole point of what we're doing here.
And I don't think
So then going back, can I change then my pool if I self choose to raise my vibrational level through study or just through worship or through why do I sound like I'm in a submarine? Do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
It just started too. Anyway,
I don't think you can shift that much in one lifetime. So this lifetime, that would be too big of a school. Come down and go from, a whole different version of yourself. So you're in this lifetime with a bandwidth. So you can make the choices to live on the top of that bandwidth, or you can live in a lower vibration in this lifetime, but you're not going to switch so much that you would need a whole new team of people.
Because you can only evolve so much in your lifetime. You're not going to go from 300 to
10,000.
No, you won't evolve.
It's not likely, but it is possible. You can evolve in a great way, but it's very rare.
Right.
Well, I believe that all things are possible, so I would think that it could happen. I'm with Bobby.
I do too. But the guides that are working with you, at least one of those guides is already at that super extreme level, right?
Okay.
And so there's always going to be the knowledge and the understanding of like you're never really going to out vibrate your highest level guide.
Right.
But our souls are yearning to get to that place, right? We see the color of their energy and we go, I want to get to that place, which is why a lot of times our souls choose these really hard paths, and our guides go, are you sure you want to do all that? And our souls are like, yes. And like our guides are like, you want to come in and be here with no arms and no legs and be in an abusive home? And our souls are like, yes. And so we come into this lifetime and we go, damn it, God, how could you do this to me? But it's really our souls that are choosing those tough paths.
Correct.
So is there a way to pull your soul out, kick its ass, and then put it back in for choosing that path for you?
Well, you can renegotiate soul contracts, while you're here, but usually, a lot of times not. I mean,
how does one? Holy mother! What is wrong with that echo?
I don't know.
It doesn't work. Doesn't do it when Bobby does.
No, Bevin's was worse than mine.
Yeah, it's got to be something on the settings. But hey, it's kind of gone away now.
I'm not hearing any echo.
No, I'm not. I was.
Sounds like it's in a submarine.
Yeah,
no,
it was bad for a while, but now it seems to have disappeared. So good.
Interference from our guides.
They strike again.
They want to be heard.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, who decides? I know, Bevin, that you had said that they match on the frequency that we have, and I totally get that. And that's like the lifelong one that I can get, but the ones that kind of come and go, who makes that decision as to who comes in, who goes, who gets swapped out? Now that I've finally reached this point, this spirit is no longer needed, but I need this one to come in now. Like, who makes all of those decisions?
Your spirit guides know pretty much how much that they can teach you, and at that, it's like when your teachers in school, they teach you to a certain level, and then you move on to the next one. It's more of the spirit guides know how much that they can teach you at that level, and then they're done, and then they move out for the next ones to move in. And that's why it depends on how you are going through your lessons and your path, your journey, and if you're staying on that. But they know how much that they come in to teach you and that they can help you with, and then they'll choose to move out, and the next one will move in, because it's that they're there only to help you on a certain level. The other three, if you have four, but the one will stay with you the whole time. But it's more of an agreement that they're like, okay, I want to help you with, when you get to this part, I'm going to help you with that. So it's like the next parts come in as you keep continually evolving and to stay on that path. Then it's like, okay, now the next ones, I need the next group to come in to help.
But to answer your question directly, your soul is the one who chooses that, and it works with the elders on the other side to go through those choices. I mean, we're the ones that really choose what it is we want to work on and what we want to learn.
Not consciously, because there's a lot of lessons that I've learned that I have no interest in learning.
Your human did make decisions.
You're veiled from those decisions
Mhm.
when you come into life, when you're incarnation.
Well, that's rude.
That's
Who chose that?
That's why
So-
you're not on the council.
Oh, is that the reason why? Okay, well then this wasn't actually, didn't even think about this, but I'm going to ask about it anyway. And it really, I don't think it has anything to do with spirit guides, but you mentioned it, Bobby. Being able to renegotiate your soul contract.
Mhm.
How would one go about doing that?
Hypothetically.
Asking for a friend.
Well, it's not something that everyone is really probably able to do. But I would say if you were trying to do it, you would probably do it in meditation or ask your soul to do that work at night when it's out of your body. You have to remember that your soul is constantly working on its path, right? And so we're in our bodies from a soul level and we're out of our bodies. And most people at night, our souls will leave a part of itself in the body, but it's working on our stuff. It's working with other souls. It's working on our life path. And a lot of times that will happen. So I have a client who she's a chiropractor and was going through breast cancer, and her soul said in the reading, her soul said she was done, like she was just so tired of being in the human form, and her soul's mission was really to help heal people and to help them. And her soul said, I can do more of this on the other side. And her humanness said, no, I really want to stay here. And so her humanness spent a very huge amount of time like working with her soul and saying, I want to stay here, I want to be here, and continued to do that in meditation. And she ended up like changing her contract, like she ended up healing from the breast cancer and continues now to work with people on the side. How that is done, I wish I could tell you, but she did it.
So, okay, because now I bring up another question now that of what you just said. So is there a difference between like your soul and your spirit guide? Because you had said that you were talking during the reading, you were talking to this person's soul.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So is that different than if I were getting a reading from Sena, and I said, do you have any message from my guides? And then she lists off, the top 10 things that they've been trying to tell me that I've been ignoring. Is it different if I said, can I talk to my own soul? Or is it the same thing?
It's your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh, well,
version
my higher
of
self
you.
is a douchebag.
Well, no, your lower self is whatever said assigned adjective. But your higher self knows all things. Your higher self is truly who does the communication with your spirit guides. And so you can't get to that information without going through your soul channel, if you will.
Which we've talked about, Mike.
I'm sorry, but every encounter with my higher self, he's a douchebag. So, but I digress. We're not getting into that. So, Bobby, you mentioned the soul group, which is something that even in all of my conversations with Sena, I've never heard that term before. Is that why? And I don't think this really has anything to do with guides, or maybe it does. But I know that whenever I talk to Sena, and we've had many conversations about past lives, I've noticed that a lot of the relationships that I have, in like with Dave, for example, all come from past lives. Like he was this in a past life, or people on my team, they were a part of whatever past life.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why it's come to the point where I've been like, obviously I don't like a lot of variety, because every life I come in contact with the same souls. Is that why?
Yeah, I mean, typically, we will reincarnate with different members of our soul group in multiple lifetimes. I mean, we work through our karma with each other. They come in to help us with our lessons. We come in to help them with their lessons. Even the people that are kind of the biggest antagonists in your life are probably members of your soul group. And like I said, we will switch like roles with each other. In one life you might be the husband or the wife. In one life you might be the father or the daughter. In some life you might be business partners or podcasters. Yeah. And so we're constantly working through our karma and our lessons with each other, because when we go back to the other side, we go into a classroom with our soul group and we look at these events. And we learn from them.
Do our spirit guides help, I guess, reintroduce souls to each other?
100%. And so before we come in, if there is a specific like pre-planned sort of soul contract or agreement, we will put we'll put reminders in that sort of remind our soul that this is someone that we need to act with. Like it might be a smell of a perfume, it might be a song that comes on the radio when you're together, and you pre-plan those signals before you come in.
Right. Yeah, because when you're up at the cache of records, it depending on about what path that you're taking, but you can take the easy path, the hard path, or compute quite a few obstacles. But those are going to be the souls that come in to help you, and they will be continuous. Like Bobby said, though, it's like it's never a first time meeting. You've met them in past life, but they're going to play different roles to help you with the lessons you signed up with or signed up for.
I got a quick question. Is there a way to put a road closed sign on one of those roads? Like if I don't want to go down, if I'm tired of the rocky bullshit bottom road thing, can I just put like a road closed warning sign so that I'm forced to take the bridge instead of trying to, jump over the canyon with my cape on or whatever,
It's your choice. It's how you choose to take it. If you choose to start listening to the lesson, paying more attention to these are lessons. It's not just a journey with actual lessons, and you're learning them. Then it'll start changing. But some people take those lessons and it's your hard lessons for them to learn. It's actually your choice. What road do you want to take? Do you want to start listening and start taking the road where you're learning?
I think that you can create that sort of want and desire from your human self, but your higher self is always going to be the one that knows what it wants to do.
So my vote doesn't count, basically.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I think that I think that it's going to defer to what your soul is really working on and trying to do. You know, our lives are not designed to just be the easiest path along the way, because we learn from the drama, we learn from the struggles, we learn from all of that stuff. So a lot of times that has to be part of our path.
Because we can't go from A to B. We have to learn along the way to get there.
But if you're in a position, and that depends on your energetic state and your own balance on how you're going to view it, you know, so you can go through a terrible situation and if somebody thinks that this is the worst thing ever, and other people think that this is alignment and I'm learning so much.
But you can also avoid those tough situations if you're doing your soul work along the way, right? I mean, if I would have, you know, before leaving that job, if I would have really listened to my intuition, I would have avoided the hard, rocky road, you know, that I had to go down.
Correct. You're human, and you're human is the one that usually causes a lot of problems. So it's hard.
And we can end karmic situations by you know, working through forgiveness or working through letting go or working through, you know, different aspects of surrender. You know, I mean, there's all sorts of ways that we can learn, and when we do that, then we move on to the next sort of stage. It might take you 30 lives, it might take you one, depending on what the work that you're doing. From the other side, it doesn't really matter. Like, time is just an illusion anyways. If you think of it, it's kind of like putting a quarter in the video arcade and choosing another life. I mean, that's how simple it is from that side.
Right. The humans would be complicated.
Got to figure out that damn echo.
Okay. Our spirit guide's trying to speak. That's what I'm going with.
The powers to be do not want our words to be clear.
I'm not hearing it at all, you guys.
Maybe
Probably coming from Bobby.
Yeah, right.
It's Bobby's fault.
Bobby's doing it.
Okay, so this can be for anybody. I'm sorry, that echo's driving me nuts. I'm gonna turn off everybody's microphone.
Yeah, that I mean, we could log out and log back in.
No, we can't. We're live on the air, Bobby. So, okay, hey, it's gone. Yay. There's obviously a difference between, and I think you guys have all talked about this, between the messages we get from guides and our own intuition. How is there a way to tell the difference between the two?
Yes.
Expound on that, Sena.
Well, because it's knowing. It's more of a knowing. You know your spirit guides, and then you know your high. It's knowing that your vibration level of who you're talking to, and just again, it's cutting up your human. We always try to make sense and think about things. It's like, no, get out of your head. And you know when you're in tune with your higher self and you're talking, getting information from your higher self or your guides. There's a difference, and you know the difference. But it's having that relationship and knowing, and getting out of your head and relaxing. Like, okay, yeah, that's my spirit guide, and that's my higher self. It's having that relationship and knowing the difference.
I would also add that, at least for me, psychic information comes in through the third eye, and typically it's going to be in signs or symbols or movies, or it might be words, or that kind of thing that's coming in up here. Intuition is more of a body sort of energy. It's a nudge, it's a push, it's a pull. There is no emotion connected to intuition. It's simply just a knowing.
Yep.
And so if we want to work with our guides, they unfortunately don't have the speaker and say, you need to do this, 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 and this. We have to develop a dialogue of signs and symbols that they can use to communicate with us. So it's kind of like learning a language. And people are like, I want to work with my guides. Well, the way to do that is by practicing. You know what I mean? That's why using tarot cards are a great way to learn sort of a library of signs and symbols, because eventually when you're using tarot cards, you can probably get to a point where you don't need them anymore, where you're just going to feel kind of or see the symbol when you're working with someone, but you're developing that ability to communicate with your guides in a much easier way.
Also with meditation, you can too, which is learning to know, learning to communicate, and then you can ask them, even in everyday, your voice is a frequency, and you can tell them, it's like, who am I talking to? Can you show me? Can you show me a picture? They will show you.
Yeah.
With enough practice, I think, I mean, for me personally, they sound different in my head. So I know if it's my lower human self talking, I know if it's my higher self talking, I know if it's source energy. And they just, with enough practice, you start to, like Bobby said, learn a new language, and you can hear it in different voices.
And you're right, but the different guides also have different voices. You know what I mean? So you can distinguish sometimes between guides. You might have a guide that's very loud and forceful. You might have a guide that's softer and a little more demure. I mean, there is an energy with their energy that you get to know.
Right.
And
And
I just stand there and stare at you.
Yeah, but I don't talk. It's a knowing with me. We have this very tight bond, as far as, it's a bond. And it's more of you knowing who you're talking with, but I don't hear them talk. I feel them, and they give me messages. It's just a complete agreement of how they communicate with you.
Can I just do signs like thumbs up, thumbs down?
Good.
I mean,
with practice.
So would I like see that in my eyes or whatever? Like,
Actually,
is this a good idea?
I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, if you can start by just getting yes or no, you can really figure out anything. And that's what I would encourage people to do with their intuition, because your intuition, that's exactly what you're going to do. But if you can get yes or no, then you can kind of be the Columbo, right? You can say, okay, is this person that I'm working with, is this something that's physical? Yes. And so is this health? No. Is it family? No. Is it relationship? Yes. And so, like, that's sort of how you go about like learning how to dig into energy intuitively. And then sometimes when you say, okay, it's about relationship, then your guides are going to come in and show you a picture or a feeling. So you're using intuition, and you're using your relationship with your guides. The thing that is the most important is that any psychic that uses psychic abilities has to have a strong intuitive sense too, because intuition is the filter for truth, right? And when you're interpreting signs and symbols, we can be very wrong. And so if someone says, I want to know if my husband is cheating on me, and you tune in and you see him, like a picture of him at his office flirting with the secretary, or someone that he works with, it might, your humanness is going to go, oh yes, absolutely, I see him flirting. But a good psychic is going to go to their intuition and say, okay, I'm seeing this picture, does this mean that they're actually like doing that? And you get a no, and then you see a picture of him going into his office and shutting the door. You could just have ruined someone's relationship by giving them the wrong information. So having a strong intuitive sense to test and use the filter is a really important part of doing this work. Using
a pendulum is a really good, I don't know if you're familiar with a pendulum. But that's absolutely the yes or no right there, using your body's energetic system. So that's a good human way to learn.
I got one right
start with
here.
practicing.
That one
Oh,
right
look at that. Mine's over there on the counter.
The pendulum is just an extension of your intuition.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they're all connected to you.
I am so glad you brought somebody, because I mentioned this earlier in the show that I was going to bring up the last time that you were on. And you said something that I've even brought up to Sena before, because it was something I'd never heard before. And I would like all three of you to kind of expound upon it. But you had told me, or Dave and I should say, that, I mean, even though it doesn't happen often, every once in a while you're giving readings, your spirit guides or their spirit guides will ask you to lie for whatever purpose.
It's
And
not really lie. It's maybe withholding the information.
Yeah, you don't get all the information because it might change your direction of what you're on right now. They can only give you so much information to keep you on the path that you're going on.
isn't that the whole point of getting readings? You can change my path.
Yeah, but you're only ready for the information that you're ready for, right? And so you might not hear or be ready to hear that your wife is done. You know what I mean? You might need to go through the karma of going through that process of figuring that out, and so the guides might say this is where it's headed, but he needs to go through that process.
Yeah.
Bevin, anything to add?
No, I would concur with that. You know, I don't get the information. Like, so there isn't a big negotiation in my experience anyway about whether I'm going to tell them or not, because I've already channeled information they need to hear. So my human self doesn't get involved when I'm doing that reading, because they're not even going to show me why, because you're not ready for it.
It is Bobby.
What do you mean?
When Bevin was talking, I went through and muted people's mics, and the echo disappeared when I muted Bobby's.
Oh boy,
that's all right. We'll get it figured out.
Let me. I might be able to change my microphone and see if that helps.
I don't know if that would be the issue, because it comes and goes.
Oh. Maybe I can. Maybe
like
I can.
we're the Beatles, like in the Yellow Submarine.
Say what?
We should just start singing Yellow Submarine. I feel like
I performed that talent show in middle school.
Oh my goodness!
Does that help at all?
Well, I don't know. You sounded good the whole time, so
yeah, you always sound good.
Yeah, well, that's how we like it.
Yeah, it sounds better, Bob.
Just saying. Yeah,
it does sound better. So
yeah.
Okay, hopefully we'll do it. So Dave, we're at the top of the hour. Do you have anything to
oh God,
ask?
yeah. I mean, but I'm going to shut up and just move forward, because I've got things I want to talk about going into the second hour. So
I know that's what. Do you have one last thing that maybe
no.
you wrote? No. Okay.
No, I do, but I'm not going to go over it. So
all right, sounds good. All right. Well, I guess that ends that thing. We didn't get to the secondary one, which we kind of figured was going to happen anyway.
So we said we started with 14. We narrowed it down to 6, and I said that's still too many because we're going to get 2, maybe 3. So we'll see. All right.
Yep. Go ahead, Dave.
We're moving on, and we're diving right into the deep end. Right to the deep end of the pool. I have a new client that I literally, what is today? Sunday, Thursday night. He called in. We hit it, to buy a couple things. We hit it off great. Ended up talking for 2 hours. Religious guy, as I am, and believes in God as I do. And he has 10 kids, and one of his sons committed suicide. And he shared with me that the only thing that he doesn't carry a lot of worry, doesn't carry a lot of guilt. But he said the only thing that he was worried about was, or scared of, was the fact that he would not be able to see his son when he goes to heaven. And that's where we're headed with this question. So I want all three of your opinions. And Bevin, since you didn't get a lot of conversation in, we're going to start with you. What do you think of that concern of his? Do you think that is, I mean, the way I was raised, suicides don't go to heaven. But do you think that is just a man-made, put in the Bible and scripture from a man? Or do you think that that's one of the, kind of laws that says that if you're going to take your own life, you don't deserve to be in my grace anymore?
I do believe that is man constructed. I believe that the soul is connected. If everything is all one and we are all of source energy, then regardless of the path or the choices, free will choice to leave this earth, we're still connected. We don't lose that connection. We just have to come back down and do it again. So we didn't pass the earth school. So it's kind of like flunking out and then having to come back again. And so everybody reconvenes back in heaven. You all put your journey back together and come back and do it again.
Bobby?
Yeah, I would agree with Bevin on that. I mean, I've seen different aspects of that, though. Not all suicides have to do that. So the way that it's set up is that we create a soul contract before we come in. We sign off on that. We go through a review with our elders on the other side. We also put in exit points along the way where we do have options to opt out of that, and our soul will come up on an exit point and say, okay, am I ahead of my path? Am I behind it? Is this my plan not working? And we do have the opportunity to opt out of that life path. If we choose to take our own life, typically we have to, like Bevin said, go back and fulfill that contract. We do have the opportunity to modify the contract. So we might go back to the other side and say, I chose, too big of a challenge on this aspect, and I need to change that when I come back in. And like Bevin said, we will come back in and go through a similar karmic lesson or path to see if we can make it through that. The place where that doesn't happen is if a soul is either mentally in big trouble, you know what I mean? Or we're going through a physical situation where it just is too tough for us to be in a physical body. A lot of times our souls are given that grace of opting out and not having to repeat that process. But our soul will go back to the other side and go through a healing on the other side, and then work through it from that aspect. But to answer your question, David, there is no possible way that we're ever kept out of heaven. The creative source doesn't operate that way. It's all based in love.
And I think the human emotion too, the human emotion highlights the distance, if you will. So those that can communicate with the other side or feel very in tune, you don't feel the same distance as you would in a physical death. So most of the time when somebody passes over, I am their main point of contact. So they're sitting there talking, oh, she can hear me. She can do that. Like, tell them it's okay. So I get a lot of information in that transition, but I don't see it as the distance as a parent losing a child. That feels very far away from them.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And it just, it's also, if they don't feel, the soul itself doesn't feel like it has the right to pass over, they don't feel they deserve, they will get stuck as well. like in purgatory. That's what people say. It's like, I can't feel them. I can't feel if they're on the other side or not. And sometimes they're stuck in between, which is purgatory. And that's when we can come in and we can help them. It's like, hey, I need you to talk to them. As you're talking to the relative, like the father or the mother who's coming to you, talking to you, it's like, okay, I want you to talk to them. They're right here. I can see them. They're in purgatory, but they don't feel like they can pass over. And you see them in a fetal position, and they're in a corner sometimes. They're just sitting there. And you're just telling them, it's like, hey, can you call their name? I'm seeing them. And they say they don't feel like they can pass over. So they're stuck in between. And it's like, can you call them? And they'll call them. And it's like, okay. And then you have to literally like pull them out of there. But usually you'll see a light where their a grandmother or a dog or even will help. They're standing in the doorway and going to help them pass over. But you have to help them realize that, no, you deserve to pay. It doesn't matter what happened. You deserve to pass over. And so then you pull them out of that. And then you sit there and you, the other relatives that have already passed over can help them, to pass as well. But you have to get to them to where they feel they deserve to, and then they can let go of the human, and then they can allow themselves to pass over. And then, because that's sometimes also the separation they feel. It's like, I can't talk to them. They don't come to me at night or anything like that. And it's like, okay, let me check to see where they are. And so it's always that as well that can happen. But there's never, it can choose, there's some different times that your path that you have signed up for where you can leave, depending on your situation, depending on how lessons you've learned, and you can choose to leave. And it's again the decision of that soul. It's like, oh yeah, I'm done, and then I'm gonna go. I'm okay with passing completely over. There's not gonna be no regrets or anything that's gonna hold me here, or I don't feel I deserve.
Okay. So taking what we all, okay, so taking the consensus, obviously, then from all three of you is that, it's more of a was created by man to, possibly restrict the idea of checking out early. So on this journey that we're on, right? So I keep hearing soul contract. We signed up for this. Everything that happens in our life, we already agreed that it was going to be okay to happen. What happens when lower level vibrational entities come in and mess up your plans?
Several things.
How does that come into play? Do you, why doesn't your higher self, see them coming and pull your vibration level up, or something? Why isn't there an evasive type of maneuver that you don't have to deal with that crap? Go ahead, anybody.
Okay, that's what, all right. So that's when you need to start listening to your gifts, your psychic ability, whatever it is, because that's going to tell you that something's off. And that's when you get into too human, and that's when that's going to affect you. It's usually they'll try to weaken you in any way, whether it's how you go to sleep, not. It can get inside, it can stick to your stomach, lightheaded, and try to take you off of your path. And that's when it's going to affect you. If you're in a very good relationship with your abilities and trust yourself, you're going to feel something's off. And then you're going to know, okay, something's trying to attack me. Something is trying to pull me off my path. It's a minion. We call them devil's minions. They're trying to pull you off of your path, get you off of what your journey is supposed to be. And it's going to pull you off of that and distract you. We call them distractions, try to get you so you're not focusing on what you're supposed to be here for in life. And that's it happens a lot where it's going to interfere. And some people do get taken completely off their path, and it's like, oh crap, you're stuck in your human, and this is what's affecting you, and you've allowed that. You need to start really, that's when we want people like, okay, they'll come to us too. It's like, okay, what is going on? This is all happening. Well, you allowed all that to happen, and you explain to them then, this is what happened. There's going to be, people on the other side, or even your higher self is going to ask for people to come in to help them. It's like, oh crap, something just came in that's we didn't expect. We need to send a light worker in or somebody to come in to help them get them back on their path because this affected them. There's always going to be somebody there to pull you back on your path if those happen, because we all work together, all one. So we're always going to have people or souls or entities or spiritual beings that are going to come in and interact with you to get you back on your path where you're supposed to be if that happens.
Okay. So it's just a hiccup in the timeline.
Correct.
But I think that a lot of times it's also part of our soul's journey to go through that experience. If we have to experience what it's like to have someone else take over our energy, or a lot of times when that kind of thing happens, the person is going through addiction or something like that, where they let down their defenses, that lets that kind of energy in. We have to go through the experience of that so that we learn not to let our energy down, or that we are motivated to heal from the addiction to help have strength and protection.
Mhm.
Anything to add?
Energetic, and well, just energetically out of balance. I mean, I spend a lot of time helping people know their own anatomy, right? You have this auric field, you have these energy lines, you have the chakras. We're going to feel in life that we're just sludging through it, you know, like this low vibration, and I can't catch a break, and all these things are happening, and all that is an energetic misalignment. And so, of course, it's going to feel rough. Of course, it's going to feel like you're not getting somewhere, or you're struggling, you know. So working on putting that system back in balance internally will kind of smooth out that external feel of roughness.
And then at the same time, then if you are out of balance and you bring yourself, or you get help to bring yourself back into balance, that to me, that would be at one of the times, like we were talking about earlier, where your vibration level would rise.
Correct. And then you're going to start attracting things at that vibration level. So if you stay in that low vibration level, if things suck and nothing's working out for me, you're going to keep attracting things that don't work out for you. It's just like attracts like in the world of numbers. So the importance of looking at things that will work out for you, or seeking that guidance, seeking that information, you know, from your higher self or from your spirit guides.
Okay. Last week we had a great guest on, and she's a good friend of mine, and she had said something that kind of caught me a little off guard. And so I want to throw it past you guys. And she's an energy healer as well. That hell doesn't exist. It's a self-actualization.
Correct. Correct is what hell is what we think it is. It's everything is an illusion. So there's no such thing. It's what we think. If people actually think that, Dolores Cannon, she says hell is actually earth. It's what you create. It's what you think is. It's because this is all an illusion, but it's what you think is hell.
And I think that purgatory, what Sena was mentioning earlier, I think that could be deemed a hell, right? Because it would be very hellish to be a soul without a body and have nowhere to go. And I think that would be a very awful place to be, is stuck in that transition zone, if you will.
We create our own sort of vibration, and so if your soul is in a place where it's raised and it believes in hell, then we can there's on the other side, there's many communities, and so if you're at that place where your humanness believes that there is a possibility that our soul kind of has to go through that experience until it learns that it can also vibrate out of that experience.
Okay. So I think I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. When I was actively investigating, one of my steadfast rules was you had to have faith in something. And I dummied it down to the point where, you can have faith in this rock or this crystal or, this tree. I don't care. But you have to have faith in something, right? You have to have you have to be grounded, or you're not coming investigating with me, because for whatever reason, my journey through investigation has always been to these cases of darkness. And I don't know if that's what I signed up for, but apparently it is, from what I've heard today and been told in the past. But I've always had to battle the crap at the low level stuff that's affecting people and help them get away from it, or chase it away or whatever. But so one of my steadfast rules was that I would never allow an atheist to be on my team. Because when I walked into a situation, if everything is heading south and it's getting out of control, and I always look at my team as the weakest link on my team is the actual strength of my team. So if I have an atheist in there and we're running into something that you would call a demon, and you're going to call upon St. Michael to come and fight it, if you have an atheist there, your circle's not complete because you don't have that the faith system and everybody's not on the same page. Was I right or wrong in kind of having that mentality going into battle with darker entities?
It's what you believe in. It's all in your
Michael.
Yeah, it's all what you believe.
Well, that's what I believe, but I'm just curious, you know,
Well,
and throw it out there. If I was wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm just curious.
I've explained this to Michael. He's Mama Bear on his team, and he can literally protect the whole team. It's not individual. You can protect your entire team, one individual. You're all connected. And when you use that connection and you protect your entire team, it doesn't matter who you have on the team. It's your belief. If you think that that's a weak link, that's going to be a weak link. It's your belief system. It's how you believe and that's what you create. That's your belief, and it's what you're going to create.
So then,
I think that
I was going to say, so I'll get right back to you, Bevin, on this same topic, but and I don't want this to be controversial, but then, so do we even need to have religion then? I mean, if you're an atheist and or if you worship the devil and God still accepts you, does it really matter then if you're Christian or Catholic or, you know, Greek Orthodox or Buddhist or?
No, it doesn't matter. That's why there are so many different, but there's a reason why there is, which we do not have time. I'm not going to get into this part, but no, there is a reason why there is so many different belief systems.
Okay. All right. So there is logic behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a purpose for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think every spiritual relationship is very, very unique and individual to each person. That's why we have fingerprints. So my belief and my connection to that might look different. It's funny you mentioned, like, you have to believe in something. I say that all the time. I don't care if you think you came from stardust. There better be 5 minutes in the morning you wake up having gratitude for that stardust, because that's a healthy crown chakra. That's a healthy third eye. That means that your energetic system is balanced. And if someone's struggling with having that connection in the first place, then there's probably some energetic work that needs to go on so you can even feel connected in the first place.
Right.
I also think that like I was saying, when Source creates our soul, we go through this illusion that we're separate from that oneness. Mm-hmm. And the journey back to that oneness is through many lives and lessons. There is a lesson through the dark side. If you think about you being on the moon and you walking around the moon, you go through and you walk through the dark side of the moon, eventually you're going to come back around to the light. And so that could be one soul's journey to learn that lesson through going through that non-belief or that darkness. But eventually the soul is going to come back to that oneness in how many lives it takes.
Okay, so Dave really threw me off with starting with his suicide question. I thought that was going to be like 4 questions down the list.
No, I was diving in.
Yes, you did. So I have multiple questions, but one, Dave kind of mentioned it, and Sena, you kind of have, you kind of gave your one-word answer, which is fine. But I'd like all of your opinions on the fact that there are hundreds of religions out there that all have their own rules and guidelines and suggestions of how to get to the exact same place. I know that Bobby and Bevin don't know Scott, who's a part of my team. I know Sena does, but he's a minister. He's been to seminary school. He's got like 4 degrees in theology and stuff. And I had him on to talk about myths of like the Bible and stuff like that. And one of the things that threw me for a loop was Allah, God, all these names that we have, different names, different religions, are all the exact same being, the source. And so, and you guys kind of, I'd like to expound on a little bit, but when it comes to the other side, does religion matter at all?
No. No, but again, to your belief, and it just, we're all one. People forget we're all one. It doesn't matter what color, what you, no, your religion, nothing. We're all one. And we sign up for lessons. And so this is, I'm you, you're me, and we are learning lessons. This is all it is.
Bobby, Bevin, anything to?
I would agree with Sena. I as I've done, I'm a past life regression therapist, and I also do life between life work. Anytime that I've been with a soul on the other side, religion has never, there's never been any like doctrine or religion on that side that has played a part. A soul is a soul, and source is the source, and we are a part of that oneness. And going through religion in the human experience is just part of the journey. It's part of our evolving belief system as we continue that path back to oneness.
And I think religion at its most foundational level was probably formed for like-minded people. How good does it feel when you sit around and talk with someone who understands what you're talking about and has the same similar kind of belief structure? And I think at it's kind of taken a lot of, control and greed and that kind of energy over the years. But I really think at the most foundational level of religion is to just be around like-minded people.
Okay, so with that said, and now I'm kind of bringing myself forward to where Dave started. When people do decide to cut it off their life, for whatever reason, whether they've just had enough, doesn't matter. And then they get stuck. They go to purgatory or whatever. Do you think that is because of what they were taught growing up? If they were taught from the fact that, 5 years old or whatever, that suicides go to hell or suicides don't deserve to go to heaven, could you self-actualize that because of what you were taught? Or does that go away once you actually get on the other side? Wow, speechless. Nice. Go me. I win.
No, I was trying to let them speak because I'm speaking up all the time. So otherwise, I'm giving them a chance. So sorry, because I'll step right in. No, it is choice. It's both. It's their belief system. Again, if they believe, so when you're brought up and you go through a hard life, then you get you in your human feel like you're not enough. You don't deserve. You're not worthy. So it can be in that part of how you grew up and what is embedded in you from through your journey. And so then you believe because and then that's usually why they take their lives too. I'm not worthy, I'm not enough. And that voice in their head gets to them, and it's an entity that takes them overboard and they take their life. And so it can be both what they grew up in and their belief.
I mean, with suicide, there could be all sorts of different aspects of it. One of the things that I've noticed in talking to souls that have taken their own life is a lot of times they don't cross over right away because they want their body back. A lot of times suicide happens in the moment, you know what I mean? And people are trying to escape the pain that they're having in the moment. And then they get through that process and they go, oh, okay, I feel better. all right, I need to get my body back. And then they have to deal with the reality that they can't get their body back, and they're still attached to the people or the addiction or whatever is here. And a lot of times they're the ones, there's no purgatory sentence. It's all within their vibration. And so if they aren't ready to let go of their life, then they stay in that place in the etheric plane. And when they're ready to move on, and a lot of times they get help from their guides to do that, or other souls, that have passed that are trying to help them, they will make that shift. But I mean, it's different for every single person that goes through that experience.
That was going to be my comment too, of just each individual situation is so specific to itself. Even down to the amount of time that they stay there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that when we leave this meat suit, that we leave everything behind.
No.
Mm-mm. When you cross over, you will go through a transition back into your spiritual beingness. But when you're in the etheric plane, when you leave your body, you still have your ego, you still have your emotions, you still have your addictions, you still have all of that stuff.
So I'm going to bring my pain forward with me. It's not going to end when I die.
Well, it will be it depends on what kind of pain you're in, but being out of the body is usually a relief to some aspect. But if there is, a lot of times souls will even go back to the other side, and they have to go right into what I would call a hospital on the other side, where they have to go through rejuvenation of their soul. Let's say they were in a chronic debilitated state for months or years. Their soul is going to be very weakened by that experience. If there is heavy depression or addiction, a lot of times their soul has to go through the healing when it gets back to the other side. So yeah, you can bring that pain or that energetic, dis-ease back to the other side.
But I want to point out that it's very objective on the other side. There's no shame or guilt up there. So it's not like we're sitting up with our spiritual self going, man, you shouldn't have done that. That's not the same. It's not the same as the way the human brain kind of tries to put that into perspective. So you just go up there and you rejuvenate.
Is it always just that easy?
It sounds very, yeah. I thought that we didn't bring our baggage with us.
But it's not baggage when you get there.
Well,
you down here think it's baggage, but up there, that's not baggage. It's just facts. That's just how the story was written.
Right. And we're not being judged on the other side. We're really the only ones that are judging ourselves.
Yeah, it's your choice. It's what you bring in, but it's your lessons and what it's detaching. We bring our attachments there, but it's just our lessons and what we learn and what we bring there.
And if I may chime in and answer the question as well, I don't think if you have physical pain like you do, Dave, I don't think you bring that with you to the other side. But I do think the emotional toll that it's taken on you over the years, I think that does go with you. Is that correct? People and me saying that, or
still just a program though. It's still just like a computer, right? So if you get a virus in your computer, there's no emotion attached to that. It just doesn't operate the way that you want it to do. And so yes, you go through, but you're just recalculating the data. It's not the same. Does that make sense? It doesn't have the same emotional, so it's not baggage. It's just the way the computer's written once you cross over to the other side.
Well, it makes sense if we live in the Matrix.
We do live in the Matrix.
Well, I was going to say, right? So if we live in the Matrix, that makes total sense.
Yes.
But that's what this all is. And people don't realize that.
What are you chiming in now too, Sena, saying that we live in the Matrix?
Well, I've always said that.
I think that's why he's being sarcastic.
What do you
So-
think, Bobby? Are you a fan of the Matrix as well?
Well, I've been watching these experiments with the lasers. Have you seen that? Where people are, there's an experiment going on where you can shine a laser like on a wall and actually go to the side of it and look, and you can actually see the Matrix in the laser projection on the wall. Have you guys seen that?
No,
Oh.
but I'm going to look it up right after the show.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Send a link.
Did fun fact, and I actually just saw this the other day, so maybe this is why. But apparently, the Matrix code that was in the movies is actually Japanese sushi recipes from a cookbook.
Okay.
That's why I like sushi.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, I was watching one of those, like, did you know type of things. And yeah, apparently one of the producers or something like that really liked this cookbook. And so they took this Japanese sushi cookbook, and that became the Matrix code.
Little spicy tuna maki for the soul.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. Wow.
So, all right, because I both get it and I don't. So until you cross over, this be a two-parter now. Until you cross over, you kind of keep the same mentalities and beliefs as you would when you were alive in this lifetime. Is that correct?
You understand more on the other side. It's not just you. All of a sudden, when you pass over, you're seeing things on a different level, but you're seeing all the players and what's really going on. Where when you're here, you get stuck in your human and all the pain and suffering here. But when you're on the other side, you let go of all that, and you actually get to see the whole picture and what's really going on. So you don't bring a lot of that with you.
So, but I would
go
answer
ahead.
your question. Yes, Michael, that is true. That's the difference between ghosts and spirits. Ghosts are really souls that just haven't crossed over yet, and they are either here because they're afraid of crossing over or fearful of something on the other side, or that they are attached to something on this side, and they hold their ego, they hold their emotions, they hold who they were as a human until they cross over.
Can you
Have
cross
any
over
questions?
rapidly? I mean, when you get to the other side, I mean, I obviously I'm going to be back in the hospital when I go to the other side.
It's different for every soul and for every lifetime. A lot of times older souls that have a lot of experience incarnating will be out of here instantly, or sometimes even like their body is going through the death process and they're pulled out of their body and crossed over. Other souls may need to be here and go through the experience of losing their body and go through the experience of comforting loved ones and that kind of thing. So it can be different for every single experience.
Well, that brings up a great question. How do you know a soul is old? You had the first hour there, Mikey. Don't get all excited. You had hour one. I got hour two. That was what we talked about.
Right, and you didn't talk a single word during hour one.
I asked a couple questions, and so have you. So hush, hush. So anyway,
I said I had a two-parter. That's all right.
I know.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I did. I asked my question.
Oh, I guess I didn't even hear.
How do you differentiate between an old soul and a new soul?
Well,
Is there a way,
okay,
like,
so
where
a younger soul is going to be going through some of those primary experiences. You're not going to see an older soul that is coming in here killing and maiming and stealing and that kind of stuff. A younger soul is not going to be here investigating past lives and looking for spiritual answers. A young soul is going to be here going through kind of those root chakra physical, emotional experiences. An older soul, and especially a higher vibrational soul, is probably going to be here doing spiritual work. They're going to be here,
Helping others.
helping others, working in food banks, or being healers, or being, podcast hosts that are talking about this kind of stuff. A younger soul is just not ready to do that kind of work. That's how I would answer.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
It's gonna have a lot of,
The level of growth. Sorry, Sena.
Oh.
The level of growth, so you will accomplish way more as an older soul, feeling like with a little bit of practice, a little bit of work, not much, and probably not as much effort as somebody who would be a younger soul.
Yep. Yeah, because they're just coming in here and they're newbies and they're like, what is this? And they feel all the emotion, but they get caught up in all the havoc and the drama, and and she's like, okay, come here. We got come here. I'll take you under my wing. We need to teach you a few things here, and that's a no-no here.
There is, you will start to notice that there is a shift and a split in realities, right? Many of the souls that are getting ready to ascend into a different reality, into a different vibration, are not going to be, probably out looking for sex and doing the, those younger soul kind of things. You're going to see older souls really gravitating towards this vibrational shift into, going through COVID and stuff. There was a huge shift that happened with people reevaluating what life meant to them and what was valuable to them. And I saw a huge reality shift after that. And so that's going to continue.
All right, let's move away from that. And away from religion, because I really want to get to this. So manifesting things. You got a quick one, Mike?
Yes.
If it's going to burn 20 minutes, no.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
Okay. So going back to the what we keep before we go over, because we have a lot of cases and stuff and claims throughout the decades or whatever of just paranormal investigation of like spirits attacking others, or attacking the living, I should say, because of something that they quote unquote don't agree with, being gay, or something that differs from a belief that the ghost has. Is there a way to get that to like not happen, or is the only way to do that to get the ghost to become a spirit, as in try to get them to move on, or understand that whatever they're feeling or believing right now isn't the way that it needs to be?
There's always a way to have it move on. You can literally release it from where it is, and so it's not allowed to go there anymore, and to help it pass over.
Yeah, I would agree. There is there's something that I do in my practice called spirit releasement therapy. So if someone is going through attachment or possession, really it's empowering the person that's hosting that to take their ownership and to raise their vibration, and to also be very deliberate in being the one in charge of releasing that attachment or possession. And so in that process, that person stands up for themselves. It says, you can no longer possess or attach to me. And in that process, I also work with the entity that is attached in helping them move on. Most of the time it will work. Sometimes it doesn't, but And it's the same thing in crossing a ghost over. If I'm in a house and working with the soul that is there, it's part therapy, it's part being a bouncer, and usually you will get help from the other side, either from people in that soul's life that have passed or guides. But the goal is to help them at least be open to moving and crossing over. And it's a process.
Mhm.
Okay. Moving on, Dave.
Right. So Mike and I were just talking yesterday, and he told me something which I'll share with you, and then it kind of led me into thinking about manifesting things and fate and free will and predestined outcomes. So Mike had a helper last week, a couple weeks ago, whatever, and the guy shows up in a Porsche. And Mike asked him, what the hell are you doing here? Driving a Porsche. Why are you here helping and stuff? So the guy said that he manifested his lottery wins. He won the lottery twice. And he manifested his lottery wins by waking up every day and saying, I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to win the lottery every day. Do you think, or is anything popping in from your guides that says that you can manifest something like that? Or was it going to happen in his lifetime because it was a predestined outcome and it didn't make any difference that he was saying that every morning? It wouldn't have mattered.
No,
He
you
was just
manifest.
destined to do it.
No, you manifest everything in your life, but what you focus your energy on, what you believe. It's you letting go of things that you don't think that can't happen. People are so stuck in what they don't want. And he was already in a higher vibration going, no, I'm in a happy vibration, and I'm going to stay in this higher vibe, because people don't realize that when you're manifesting, you actually need to start in a higher vibration for things to work out the way you want them. But people have a habit of focusing on things they don't want. And so they continually get things they don't want, including the life or the belief, like, I don't believe I deserve that. I don't believe I'm worthy. So I'm not going to have that in my life. It's a belief. And so they manifest that because that's what they focus their energy on. He focuses energy on, I want prosperity. And this is my belief. And there's nothing in his head talking him out of it. And so he's going to continually manifest that and believe. And so when you start in a really happy time, the emotion, people don't realize how important emotion is when you're manifesting, though. You have to start, because when you're happy, when you're in love, that's a very high vibration. That's where you need to start and be in that, not just start, but be in it, living that. And then you think about things that you want. And that's it. Just what do you want? And you're in that vibration. As you're in that vibration, that happy and that love, and you're focusing on what you want, it manifests. It manifests that quickly. It can manifest within half an hour. But our human keeps getting in the way, telling us that, oh, we don't deserve, we don't enough, which brings, then that's when our emotions start affecting us, because then it starts lowering our vibration down to, oh, I don't deserve that, or envy or anger or frustration. And it's a lower vibration. But people have a bad habit because, again, they don't know that you have to start in the right motion for things to manifest the way you want them, and not talk yourself out of it like you don't deserve that. That's not the life you're supposed to have. This is not what I came here to learn. You can learn, your lessons can be brought out in any kind of lavish or poverty situation. It's what you believe, and what you focus your energy on is what you're going to create, because the only things that are around you is what you have created. You have focused your energy on, and this is what you believe. You believe there's a monitor in front of you. You believe that we're talking to each other. It's your belief. But you have manifested this, because this is what either I brought you into my world, or you brought me into your world to believe that this was actually what's taking place. The matrix. This is what's taking place because of your belief, but what you manifested because what you focus your energy on.
I think imagination is a really important tool in manifestation. And so the daydreaming, right? Like, I'm sure that gentleman in the Porsche envisioned himself driving the Porsche, I'm sure that he had, winning the lottery, he was able to visualize like getting the check from it, seeing it in his bank account. And so what happens is then he's holding frequency for that exact situation to happen. So now the universe is going to match him. And without the ability to daydream, without that ability to have that vision and then to have the feeling, the emotion behind how good that would be to win the lottery. So, and I think this is a lot of explanation for the placebo effect, right? The placebo effect we don't study, but what it is when someone takes that pill, that's a sugar pill, and their blood pressure lowers because they're so convinced it is blood pressure medicine, that's exactly, in my opinion, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do also think that that we can manifest whatever it is we choose to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have noticed, though, is if that manifestation doesn't fit our soul path, like we may manifest that thing and that thing may go away. You know what I mean? But that doesn't stop us from manifesting it. Like you might be destined to go through a life of scarcity, and that doesn't mean you can't manifest money. You may manifest a lot of money, but you may also lose that money to experience that soul path of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a really good story about that, if I may share.
yeah,
Sure,
So
absolutely.
I knew a woman who she got breast cancer, and so she had shared with me that her biggest fear her whole life was getting breast cancer. And so what happened is she got a very basic, for lack of a better term, form of breast cancer. And what happened is her body actually encapsulated her tumor in calcium. And so it wrapped its entire self around so that it couldn't affect anything else in her body, because her soul journey or her soul path was not to die of breast cancer, but she manifested it. And so her body kind of took over, like, sure, you can have it. We can go through the mastectomy. We can do all this, but you weren't meant to have this. You just thought about it so much and brought up that fear that your body is like, okay, well, we're going to answer. So I thought that was really fascinating and an example of what you were just talking about, Bobby.
So, okay. I'm getting a lot of, I want to say mixed messages, because Sena even said earlier in the show that your life is planned out.
Mm-hmm.
And if your life is planned out, then, as Dave was saying, manifestation was going to happen regardless of whether you thought it or not. Or because if you change, or are you changing the plan? And if you're changing the plan, well, then what's the difference of anything being planned anyway? Plus, I've been told, I think probably by Sena again, that if the universe, Bobby, could you mute, please? Thank you. If the universe doesn't want you to have something, or you shouldn't have something, or you should, it will create the path to get there. And again, that goes against your own manifesting, because now the universe is manifesting for you. And my last example of this, and I just would like your take on all of it. Oops, sorry. I have been manifesting a certain thing for a very, very long time, like 3 years, something like that. Sena knows what it is. And
So do I.
And so does Dave. I didn't want to speak for it.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it was supposed to happen. But for whatever reason, something came in and knocked it off, and now apparently it's not. Like, I've been brought to another damn dimension to talk to an oracle that told me that I was asking and thinking about it way too much, and the answer was no, now. And when I asked why, I got it's complicated, which is an awful answer. Anyways.
Horrible answer.
But so to the point of manifesting, there seems to be so many different criteria to it that it's not just a simple over and over. It's not just a simple mantra that you believe. I guess what is your guys' take on that?
Well, as Bevin was saying, your vibration has to match what it is you're trying to attract, right? And it's not your outer vibration, it's your inner vibration. So if there's something that you're trying to manifest and attract, and there's an internal belief that says, I want to create this, but I don't think I could afford it. Or I want to create this, but I don't think I'm really good enough to get that TV show. You're going to basically send out, you're going to uncreate what you created by that internal belief. If you say, I want to manifest that new red Porsche, and you see your neighbor show up with a brand new Corvette, and you go, oh, that bastard, he doesn't deserve that. That jealousy or that vibration will go out and uncreate what you're trying to create.
And I think to answer your question too, Mike, of like, everything's very fluid. So because you jump on a path, I take a right-hand turn on 7th Avenue, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to turn on 10th Street and I'm not going to continue on a different. So just because something's brought into my life, like Bobby said, doesn't mean it has to stay. And so it's just this constant flow and rearranging of things that are coming to me and things that I'm releasing and stuff that, does that make sense? Like a whole life's always reorganizing itself. So anything that happened last week isn't necessarily even applicable today.
Right. And to go back to what you were asking in your question, saying Sena said your life is planned out for you. No, it's not. You come in with things that you're here to accomplish. You might say, I want to go through understanding abandonment. I want to go through understanding what it is to be to belong. I want to go through what it is to be a healer or a co-creator. The path to that place can vary by numerous options based off of your choices and your free will. So you're planned out with the things that you're coming in to learn, but not every day is planned out for you.
Sena, you don't want to add anything?
No, it's true. I've actually, no, because it's, there's a movie that actually shows this, Fringe, and it's very good. It walks you through a lot. People don't realize a lot of movies or television shows are actually telling what's actually going on. And Fringe was huge. It actually talks about that, shows that in the movie of the bad guys, we would say, with the bald guys, but they're the future selves, and they're coming in and they're saying, oh, we already know what's going to happen because this is already, we know them and we know what they're going to do. But it's literally that they are walking through what they were, because it was that one, that individual, they already know what they're going to do, so they can already alter that by, okay, they're going to put that briefcase down there and we're going to grab it because we already know that that's what they're going to do. But it's up again, like Bobby said, though, it's you come in here to the certain lessons. It's not specifically the events that are going to take place. It's what you learn. It's your lessons and how you get there.
You also have, I mean, what Sena is talking about too is the multiverse. So we're not only living in one reality, we have multiple realities. When we get back to the other side, we can go through all of those parallel realities and learn from them. In one life, you may have chosen to stay married. One life, you may have chosen to get divorced. One life, you may have chosen a certain career. You know what I mean? All of those things are possibilities, and we can use all of those parallel lives to learn from.
Which is about Mike. Mm-hmm.
I have visited a couple, apparently, compliments of my higher self.
Yeah.
Bevin. And so far they have not served me well.
That's why he's mad at him.
Well, they've served you in the way they're supposed to serve you. They just aren't serving you in what you want. There's a difference.
Yeah, your human keeps getting in the way.
Right, your human's getting in the way.
There may be a difference, Dave, but right now I'm manifesting the way I want things.
Well, I've been manifesting my spinal injury to heal itself for 8 years, and shit hasn't happened. So I'm with you on that. I don't know if manifestation exists or if it doesn't exist, but I'm telling you from my personal experience, it does not exist. So, I mean, it's been 8 years. Every single day, I manifest healing and the pain to go away. And
but a lot of times that manifestation, you can't get stuck on how it looks and what the outcome of it is. Your spinal healing might be a byproduct of you actually going through a release of something else. And so you can't get focused on the way that it's going to happen necessarily. You just need to be focused on what it is that you want to create.
But also, because you keep telling yourself you have an injury, it's going to continue making bring that into life. You need to stop focusing on that you have something wrong with you. You have to focus on healthy, and it's not there. You can focus yourself on everything you're in alignment and you're in tune, and your body is completely healed.
Right. I mean, a lot of times we manifest by saying, I want, and that focuses on the want and not on the result.
Yeah, I don't say that. I just say it would be nice to wake up and not be in pain. And I ask God to come down and lay his hands on me to take away the pain and to help the healing process. That's all I ask for 8 years.
Right. But you're using wording, and we didn't get to this. I knew we were kind of posting, but words and thoughts have vibrations, and that's what you create. And so instead of talking into like, I have pain, I have an injury, it's like, no, I am healed. I am of love and light. I am in alignment. And that's why, because it's what you're using and how you're talking is what you create.
Or you might also want to ask the pain what it's trying to share with you or teach you. I mean, the body keeps the score. So, and pain is really a message from the soul.
It's
I must have done something really bad in a previous lifetime, because I'm an old soul. So,
right, but you also hold emotions there. So if you're going to continue putting in emotions there, your body, all your organs and everything throughout your life, you're internalizing emotions of what you're going through, traumas or whatever it is. And it can even be past life that's connected to that as well. And you're storing all that emotion in there instead of letting go of it. So every time you hit your arm and you have a bruise and it hurts, that's an emotion that you're actually triggering because you've internalized that. And that's the same thing with what you keep calling injury and your pain. It's like you keep putting more and more emotion instead of letting go of it and releasing it. You're causing more.
This is all much easier said than done, Dave. Just very.
Yeah, I understand
in your defense.
I do understand that. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I always tell people, like, doing any sort of healing of that invisible anatomy, which is what they're talking about. The emotions programming into the physical. It's like going to the gym, and nobody benches 300 pounds the first time you go to the gym. Like, you have to go, you have to show up, you have to put that system back into balance and kind of do that. So much easier said than done.
Bevin, I'm going to end the show by just saying thank you for saying that. I've been saying that to Sena for like a year and a half now, and she just keeps trying to
He tells it, yeah, it's easy.
It's no problem. You just need to do it. No, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's reprogramming. You're programmed. You're reprogrammed.
It is. We are computer systems. That's all we are.
Yep.
Well, you're a very good one. Okay, so we are out of time. But for all three of you, for anybody who is listening, if anybody wants to reach out to you, whether they have questions in something that you said or whether they just want your assistance in something, Sena, we'll start with you. How would people go ahead and contact you?
I have a website, insightfulsoul.com, and my email is readingsbysena@gmail.com.
Bobby?
My website is bobbyosullivan.com. I do healing work, cranial sacral, myofascial unwinding, past life regression, readings, orophotography, and appointments are taken every day at my office in Hopkins.
Awesome. My website is currently under construction, but my email address is Bevin, Bevin at bftransformation.com. Balance for transformation. So I am in Arizona, but could do any distance reading, intuitive coaching. I also do Reiki, craniosacral, aquatic energy balancing is probably one of my favorite things that I do. Do some Reiki in the water. I also have a biofeedback machine. So
Nice.
awesome.
Well, again, thank you guys for coming on. I honestly thought this was an amazing conversation.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
thank you.
having us.
And we, like I said, we still got like 8 other topics to go over. So maybe in a couple months we can invite you all back and have another kind of try conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And thank you for bringing up this topic, the topic of just kind of the invisible and everything that you do in general. So.
All righty. Well, 8th anniversary show over, Dave.
It was a great one.
It was a great one. So
I'm
we'll
more
be back.
confused now than I was when we started. But you know what? That's what makes it great, because now you've opened up neural pathways that have me thinking about things. And I've always said from day one, if we get one person to stop and pause and say, what did they just say? And then go investigate it or something, that we were successful.
And this time it's you.
And this time it's me. Never stop learning, baby.
So for everybody listening, if you are confused, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And so we'll be back next week with another brand new episode. We got a lot of great episodes coming up. So stay tuned, stay healthy, stay safe. Everyone have a great rest of the week.